And now we return to the situation in Donetsk region. President Zelensky reported that Ukrainian forces have achieved significant results in the areas of Pokrovsk and Dobropillia, inflicting substantial losses on the enemy. Zelensky spoke about this in his address on the 1,303rd day, following a meeting with the soldiers defending Donetsk region. According to the president, the defense forces are now conducting a large-scale counteroffensive operation. It is proceeding according to a previously developed plan. 7 settlements have already been liberated, and another 9 have been cleared of Russian presence. The president emphasized that occupiers attempting to enter the liberated territories are being destroyed.
We are currently carrying out one of our counteroffensive operations. The guys are doing great. In the Donetsk direction, near Pokrovsk and Dobropillia, there are fierce battles, but we have managed to inflict significant losses on the Russians. Since the start of the operation, our soldiers have already liberated 160 square kilometers. More than 170 square kilometers have also been cleared of the occupier. We have significantly replenished our exchange fund.
The Muscovites continue to shell our peaceful cities. 2 people were injured after a nighttime Shahed drone attack on Pavlohrad in the Dnipropetrovsk region. More than a dozen explosions were heard in the city. Fires broke out, but rescuers have already contained them. In total, 6 people were injured in the region during the day. In Nikopol, the Russians attacked with artillery and FPV drones, injuring 5 civilians. In the Sinelnikovo district, after Kaabi strikes, a 61-year-old man was hospitalized. In Bilozerka, Kherson region, at noon, the Russians dropped explosives from a drone onto a woman while she was in her own yard. She was hospitalized with blast injuries. A few hours earlier, a man was killed near Odra-do-Kamyanka. He was killed by an enemy mine while grazing cattle. 2 more people were wounded in Antonivka. And in Kherson itself, firefighters, under the threat of repeated attacks, were extinguishing a large fire that broke out due to shelling. In the morning, in the Stepnohursk community in Zaporizhzhia, the occupiers attacked a pensioner with an FPV drone. He is in the hospital in serious condition. In total, 14 settlements in the region came under enemy fire. In Bylikolodia's Kharkiv region, a man was wounded. In the Bliznyukivska community, the House of Culture and warehouses were damaged. There is also destruction in the Chuhuiv and Kupiansk districts. The occupiers are trying to break out of the trap they found themselves in near Dobropillia in Donetsk region. Ukrainian forces continue to encircle the Russians near the village of Kucherev Yar, tightening the ring between the villages of Pankivka, which was recently cleared of occupiers, and Ivanivka, located north of Pokrovsk. The Russians are leveling Pokrovsk itself with artillery and guided bombs, just as they are doing with Kostiantynivka. The situation there is becoming more complicated. Civilians who still remain in the city cannot leave because of the shelling and the lack of communication. This was reported by Irina Rybakova, the press officer of the 93rd Brigade Kolodny Yar. She personally found such residents and ended up under Russian shelling together with them right in their home. Irina Rybakova wrote about this on her Facebook page. The occupiers are launching an offensive in the area of Yarova and Drobyshev. According to Deep State, there are also reports of our positions being lost there. Our soldiers are also having a hard time in the area of neighboring Yampil. All these villages are in the Lyman direction. The number of enemy assaults there has been increasing in recent days. They are doing everything they can to break through to Sloviansk and Kramatorsk. Today, the city of Orikhiv in Zaporizhzhia was supposed to celebrate its 250th anniversary. But City Day now is just another day of survival and by no means a celebration. And although the city is covered with nets, the number of drones attacking civilians has increased several times over. The enemy is using almost their entire range of drones, from reconnaissance Orlans to strike Lancets, FPVs and Molnias. People who still remain in the city are afraid to go outside because they become targets for Russian drone pilots. Our team managed to enter the city and see what is happening there now. A report from Orikov by TSN correspondent Ruslan Yarmolyuk.
On the bank of the Konka River lie kayaks and canoes that were hastily abandoned. When the war began, this canoe was left here on the pier, and it has remained ever since, waiting for better times when children will return and be able to paddle down the river again. Life here stopped in an instant. Abandoned children's sportswear, certificates, posters and victory pennants hang on the walls. Svetlana, whom we met in the city, once even brought her son to this sports school.
There were children. My nephew went, my niece went, my son went for a little while, not long. Well, the children practiced here.
Boats that were just about to be launched for training have been stuck on land for years now. A roof with holes, walls riddled with shrapnel, kayaks full of holes, and the echo of explosions in the city. Bombed but unbroken Orikhiv. It's hard to believe, but right here there used to be a children's and youth sports school for rowing and paddling. And not just any school, but one that trained specialists for the Olympic Reserve. Boys and girls trained here, and this was the future of our sport in Ukraine. The war came to Orikhiv very quickly, so there was no time to evacuate the school. And so these priceless specimens of kayaks and canoes still remain here in the city under shelling as silent witnesses to the former glory of our Ukrainian rowing and paddling sports. Children's laughter has not been heard on the pier for a long time. The young Olympic Reserve athletes who once trained here have scattered around the world with their parents, leaving their dreams of big-time sports here on this bank of the Konka by the ruined sports school.
Every half hour, attack drones fly over here. Their goal, as far as we understand, is not so much to disrupt military logistics as it is simply to terrorize and intimidate the civilian population so that people leave Orikhiv and stop helping the armed forces. Well, just a few days ago, a drone landed on the roof of a minibus. Fortunately, it didn't explode. No one was injured. A little earlier, a drone was chasing a minibus right in a spot where there are no anti-drone nets. It caught up. The vehicle was damaged and the driver is in intensive care. So we see that today the Russians are increasingly using terror tactics against the civilian population.
Orikhiv is in ruins. All the apartment buildings have been destroyed by aerial bombs and shells, and private houses have been burned down by kamikaze drones. Danger lurks from the sky for local residents every minute.
We listen very carefully, Katya. We listen to the sky. As soon as we hear something buzzing, we immediately hide under a tree or wherever we can. Otherwise, we plant our gardens. We survive. They give us humanitarian aid.
Svetlana, while it's raining outside, which keeps the drones away, went out to get some milk. She lives with her elderly parents. It's because of them that she stays on the front line in her own city.
My parents are old. First of all, they don't want to leave. We feed a lot of dogs, we feed cats too. And besides, we have no means to leave.
There are still elderly people remaining in Orikhiv. All the civilian infrastructure in the city has been destroyed. The air is constantly filled with the sound of enemy drones.
We hide in the basements.
This is Hena, he's 49. He lives in the city with his brother. He rarely goes outside. He pulls a cart, looking for something to heat the stove with. Firewood?
Yes, firewood.
Hena's silhouette with the cart is swallowed by the mist and rain. Only this dog remains on the street, having heard human voices and come out of hiding. He keeps looking at the silhouettes, as if searching for his owner who left him alone in this place. Roxlana Yarmolyuk, Mikhailo Podyata, TSN, 1+1, Marathon, United News.
There are no signs that Putin is interested in peace negotiations with Ukraine. This statement was made by the head of British intelligence, Richard Moore. According to MI6 estimates, the Kremlin leader has not changed his plans regarding Ukrainian territories in any way, even though he is openly bogged down in the war and has not achieved significant gains because he underestimated the Ukrainians. At the same time, the Russian leader spares neither Ukrainians nor his own citizens, sending them into meat grinder assaults. In addition, Richard Moore called on Russians who have the courage to speak the truth to cooperate with British intelligence. He promised absolute protection to such agents. He also announced that they have created a platform on the dark net for recruitment, where sensitive information about illegal activities anywhere in the world can be passed to the intelligence service, or individuals can offer their own services.
I see absolutely no evidence that Russian President Vladimir Putin has any interest in a peaceful settlement except for the capitulation of Ukraine. He is simply stringing us along. Putin denies Ukraine's sovereignty and even its existence as a country and a nation. He seeks to impose his imperial will by any means available to him, but he will not succeed. Russia simply does not have enough resources to completely subjugate Ukraine by force. Yes, they are advancing on the battlefield, but at a snail's pace and with horrific losses. And Putin's army is still far from achieving the initial objectives of the invasion. Frankly speaking, Putin has bitten off more than he can chew.
Immediate deoccupation of the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant. A resolution with this demand was adopted today by the IAEA General Conference. 62 countries supported the document. According to it, the occupiers must immediately leave the territory of the nuclear facility and return the power plant to the full control of Ukraine. The plant has been under occupation since March 2022. At the same time, the Russians have set up artillery positions and an ammunition depot on the industrial site. From there, they fire a D-30 howitzer, which creates an additional risk for the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant.